Welcome to the Rebel Entrepreneur Podcast, and today is an episode all about money and finances. And joining me, I have two guests. Number one, Katie, aka my wife.
I'm glad I'm your number one and not your number two.
I'm not. I'm feeling slightly frozen out of this conversation already. I feel like the third wheel.
And my business partner, Mr. Simon Paine, my socio.
Voila.
Your two
Don't
partners in life.
Exactly,
Yes.
My two partners.
Two that you're married to for different reasons.
End the episode now. Right, Simon, what are we doing here? What's the plan today?
Well, I think what I wanted to chat to you about today was really to bring the finance school more and more into what we're doing on the podcast, because the one game that everybody in the world has to play is the money game.
Yeah.
And the money game is something that I've shied away from personally for many years.
Have you been going for the ostrich technique?
I have, actually. I've perfected the ostrich technique for many years. I occasionally look back in the hole, but I don't want to put my head back in it. So there's a conversation to be had about that, and that's what this is about, really. It's about bringing the finance school, raising the profile of it, bringing it more into the Rebel Entrepreneur Podcast so that we can help more people get control of their finances and understand the steps that they need to take in order to, have a better relationship with money and achieve whatever goals they want to achieve for them, for their families, and in their lives.
And
I think also the money management skills for your personal life and your business life.
For sure.
There's obviously a massive overlap as well, because of course, the bigger your business, maybe there's other things to think about, but generally speaking, business principles when it comes to finance, life principles will be the same.
Well, that's what we found this week. So we were doing the debt case studies for Rebel Finance School. We found a guy who was heavily in debt. And the first question then is, in your personal life, do you have a gap between your income and your spending? Like, do you spend everything you earn? Do you spend more than you earn? Or do we have a couple of £100 a month, £100 a month to pay off the debt? And it was interesting because he had a business as well, and he didn't know if he had a gap in his personal life. Then we start questioning him about his business. He didn't know if he had a gap in the business. He didn't know if he had a gap between the money his business is taking and the money his business is spending. He didn't know if he was profitable. And actually what we've come to realize is the same. Are you making a profit in your personal life? Are you making a profit in your business? Preferably both. Because if you make a profit in your business, then you can pay yourself that money, take that money out and use it and do things with it.
I love that. It reminds me of that thing, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to chat to you about, can you remember what year Ecuador happened?
2016.
2016, right. So you rang me up, Alan, in October 2016. No, you wouldn't. It was before that. You went in October 2016.
It'll be early 2016.
Yeah, you rang me up and you said, Simon, I want to go to Ecuador with Katie. And I went, cool. That doesn't necessarily surprise me that much. And then he said, for a finance conference. Sorry, what? You're going to Ecuador for a finance conference? Yeah, and it's in October. What, you mean our busiest month of the year? You want to go to Ecuador for a finance conference? The whole sentence just doesn't make sense in lots of ways. So I think the first thing I said to you was, aren't there finance conferences in London? Given that London is supposed to, well, certainly was a few years ago. A finance.
Move on quickly.
Yes, Brexit. Blah, blah. A finance capital of the world, isn't it? So you're going to Ecuador for a finance conference in the busiest month of the year, and I went, okay, let me know how it goes. Because you're not going to say these things if it's not something that is an important thing. I totally trust you guys, as you know. So that you scare me, but I do trust you. So off you toddled to Ecuador. Just give me a couple of sentences about that and remind me, why did you go to Ecuador? And I know that you'd been doing a lot of research and had been learning about personal finance, but what was happening in Ecuador that you felt compelled to go? Because this is important, because it's the foundational part of the finance school, isn't it? It's where it kind of came from in lots of ways.
So the event in Ecuador was to do with this thing called the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early. And some of the bloggers were putting on an event there. And we wanted to go and meet them.
You've been following them, you've been reading their stuff.
I have been devouring their stuff, Simon.
Devouring? Should we pause there? No, keep going. Okay.
So when we first discovered this concept, financial independence, which for those of you that don't know, is the idea that you can save and invest enough money that those investments provide for you and you don't have to work if you don't want to. And we'd been kind of learning and studying that for a couple of years since a friend of ours sent us one of the blogs. His name, well, the friend is called Matt. The blogger's name is Mr. Money Moustache.
Wait, isn't that brilliant? What a single email gets sent. You go, wow, that's fascinating. Do a deep dive. 2 years later, end up in Ecuador. And then 4 years later, end up setting up the Rebel Finance School as a result of what you've learned from your own journey.
Yes.
So that's the key bit. So
it was a blue pill, red pill moment.
Right. Okay. Was it worth it?
That one conference changed our world.
Yes.
In so many ways.
It led to lots of opportunities, didn't it?
Well, it led to all sorts of opportunities, running Rebel Business Schools in America. It led to being on podcasts. It led to this podcast, which was launched with one of the biggest FI podcasts, Choose FI, with Brad and Jonathan. A fabulous podcast if you want to learn about finance. But they then asked us to launch the Rebel Entrepreneur. Like, this changed our world in so many ways and led to us. Like, we'd always wanted to be good with money, but it gave us a goal, an aim. We knew what our target was. It led to our financial journey.
So you went to Ecuador and you came back from Ecuador and you said, Simon,
FYI.
What did you say to me?
Simon, FYI, I will be financially independent by the time I'm 40, so like 4 years away. Just letting you know early, because I'll probably take a step back about then.
I hope
And what did I say?
You said, cool. And that was the end of it. Then 4 years later, I came to you and said, we've done it. And I think you were a little bit surprised at the time.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not the first time I've heard a harebrained idea from you. What were you going to say? You hope that he...
Oh, I was just going to say, I hope that the way that he delivered that information, I imagine like a really old school memo that maybe I'd say like he faxed it to you or something. It just made it sound like, FYI, I'm going to be leaving. Something like that.
Yeah, he definitely faxed it. It was probably over breakfast or something. So, yeah, so I can remember going, sure, 4 years away. Like, a million things can happen in 4 years. Like, who knows? And then it happened. So I think, like, what was the thought process between, like, hitting a sort of magic number, wasn't it? You kind of went, once we hit this magic number, that means that you don't need to schlep around the M25 with me anymore. Right? Or you don't want to schlep around the M25. I think that was the words that you might have used. No, screw you.
I don't want to be on the M25 with you. I want to be in a different place with you.
Okay. I'm slightly warming to that. So I'm interested. So you hit the magic number. You said, we're going to change our lifestyle. We've always wanted to travel around the world. You kind of explored nomadic, and then COVID sort of tripped you up a little bit, but you kept going in between the bits where you could. What was the I'm really interested in the bit where you hit the magic number and then you decided to set up the Rebel Finance School. Something happened in that time when you said, we want to teach people what we've learned. What happened? I want to know that bit.
COVID.
Right.
COVID happened.
You were just bored.
A little bit of truth to that.
Like, were you looking for a new project, right? You wanted to do something? Or
COVID happened. The markets tanked. So many people got made redundant, fired, furloughed. They were struggling with their finances.
I think it's fair to say there's a little bit of uncertainty at that time.
There was some marginal uncertainty. There was a lot of panic. And we're
fired, furloughed, and there's another F there. But we won't go there. Forgotten about
Forgotten.
Yeah.
The forgotten employees of COVID. But anyway, we decided we need to do something to help. We were on lockdown. Like, you can't get out. And I was writing articles at the time of create or consume. And my thought is most people spend too much of their time consuming and not enough time creating. And I did not want to complete Netflix. I wanted to actually have something to show from my COVID time, whereas so many people got furloughed and did nothing. They completed Netflix, well done, have a badge, move on with life. We were like, what can we give? And that led to, let's do a finance course. Let's create it. We're just going to give it away and see if it even works. Like, let's do it. So we designed a 8-week course. how to take control of your finances. It was called TCF, Take Control of Your Finances, that first time. Put it on Facebook and said, come along, it'll be on Zoom if you want to come. 150-ish people turned up every week for 8 weeks with us.
I remember I did it. It was intense.
Oh, yeah, you did. I used to ring you after
One of
and
the
say, what do you
OTs,
think?
like, what? Yeah. I was like, you baked my brain.
And then we're like, now do your homework, Simon.
It's interesting, though, because I've been on some of that finance journey with you, and obviously I've been to the conference, and I didn't go to Ecuador. Guess where I went?
Stratford-upon-Avon.
Stratford.
Come on, it's still lovely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's all right. It's quintessentially English, isn't it? You even took us to Shakespeare one night.
We did.
Best sleep I've had in ages.
Afternoon tea.
I just drifted off into my seat.
I fell asleep too as well.
Did you?
I'm really sorry, the Royal Shakespeare Company, but you need to work harder to keep us awake.
It was a warm evening as well.
It was. Move on quickly,
Anyway.
Simon.
We're going Shakespeare bashing for the rest of the podcast. Yeah, so I think that's interesting times actually, because the Rebel Entrepreneur podcast launched in May 2020, as well as you delivering the Take Control of Your Finances course 1. How many people have been through either the TCF or have watched? What sort of numbers are you looking at have been through a finance school course and or TCF?
So not including the year that we're currently delivering.
Oh, we're 4 weeks in?
Yeah. Oh, we've done 3 weeks. Over 5,000 people have.
It's like 5,700 people. So it went from 150 to 300 and something to 5,000. The third version, Rebel Finance School, had 5,000.
Why is it growing so fast? Why is it so popular?
Katie got featured in The Sun.
Not page 3, Simon. I know what you're thinking.
Don't know what you mean.
A journalist messaged Alan through his blog and said, do you know any women that have reached financial independence? And he said, yes, I do.
I'm sat next to one.
So she interviewed me and I was featured in The Sun, and it was in the online version as well. And it was one of the highest performing articles they've ever had. So we had a lot of people come through to sign up for Rebel Finance School. So that's why the third year was so high.
Got it. So obviously, we're in the midst of a cost of living crisis at the moment. I'm going to hold myself back from getting political. There's a lot of people struggling with money at the moment, isn't there? I know that the finance school is about a long-term game. How relevant is that long-term game in the face of people going, my electricity and gas bills $4,000 a year?
It's even more critical. It's even more critical in those crazy times to have control of your finances. So everything runs on an economic cycle. The good times come, we're all making money, we're doing good, think the 80s, think those sort of times. And then what happens after the good times?
I remember the hairstyles.
And every time after the good times come in that economic cycle, there is a crash. I don't care when, there has always been a recession, a crash following the good times. And it might be a week later, it might be a month later, it might be 6 years later, it might be 10 years, but there is always a crash. Once the crash comes, cost of living crisis, money's tight, inflation, it's
global
a cycle.
Pandemic
Always happens.
The global pandemic doesn't always happen, sorry.
I'm sure it will
okay,
happen
that was an exacerbating. yeah.
But it will happen again, I'm sure. At some stage, who knows whether it'll be 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, 200 years, but at some stage it will happen again. And then you have the bad times, everyone tightens their belt, and we get used to them, and we think the bad times are going to stay forever, and we get stuck in them. But spring always follows winter. Things start to grow, things start to get better, we start to earn a bit more money, then it goes back to the good times, and then everyone's enjoying the good times, and they're like, these will never end. The good times will never end. We will spend everything we earn, thinking that it will go on forever. But there's always another crash coming, and we go back around a cycle again. The problem is no one prepares in the good times for the bad times.
Got it.
I think as well, there's things you can do in the bad times. So coming into doing this year's Rebel Finance School, I was thinking, well, cost of living crisis is happening. And week 1 of the course is all about looking at your spending, understanding where it goes.
Most of us don't, right?
Well,
most of us don't actually know where the money goes.
Business or personal.
And I thought, well, cost of living crisis, times are tight, people are worried about not having enough money. surely everyone has gone through their spending in detail and trimmed the fat and done everything that they can do
Reviewed the categories, looked at every line.
Exactly, and gone, okay, oh, I'm spending how much on takeaways? I shouldn't be doing that with time so tight. And I realised that people don't do that, and there's just this kind of almost this fear as well that's generated by the media of this repeating cost of living crisis, cost of living crisis. And obviously it's real, and there's things that can be done about it.
Drive the ostrich head further into the ground
Yes,
with the fear of the media, right?
Yeah, because, there's nothing I can do about my money because of the situation that's happening economically for everyone around the country.
I love that. That's like the first stage of the course, isn't it? So the first week is, I found it was very empowering. It was quite tough. Like I had to, but we went through my finances together in like
we created
full
you
detail.
some charts. Yeah.
They know everything about what I spend my money on, and I mean everything. But
we didn't judge at all.
In for a penny.
We didn't judge.
Let's get in for a penny, in for a pound, if you excuse the pun. But that's very empowering, isn't it? It's to sort of hold people's hands and show people like this is how. I think lots of people go, yeah, I should probably look at my bank statements. Like, no. We're going much, much deeper than that. And that's to understand and showing people how they can forensically understand their finances in a way that's kind of fun and isn't scary. And it just you're just putting the skills and the tools and the confidence and the understanding. Because that's the other thing about money. I think this is what I wanted to get onto with you. The understanding about money is that what you're sharing from your journey, nobody else shares.
Yeah.
You don't learn it anywhere else, do you? Can you learn it anywhere else apart from the blogs and doing the 5 years, 6 years of self-study that you guys did? That's not normal, by the way.
This guy's not normal.
When did you ever think we were normal?
Never.
I was normal before I met you.
I think I've got two thoughts on this. One is you just don't learn that. Like, people don't share those figures. In the UK, in most of the world, we don't talk about money. Your friends aren't going to tell you what they're spending their money on. Your friends aren't going to tell you where the money goes. They're just going to buy a nice car and pretend it's not on debt. It's a status thing. It's a taboo thing.
Yeah, a taboo topic, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Like, I think your mum literally said we don't talk about money. My mum said, like, she never really talked about money. My dad hid all the finances from us as a kids. We never talked about it until it became such a big problem we couldn't not talk about it. But by that stage, it was too late.
Oh, I'm massively inspired. I'm going to project my my monthly bank statement on the wall to the kids. Yeah, so they can see. That's right, kids. It's £318 a month for gas and electric at the moment, and yeah, it's £35 a month for the internet. Like, we should probably change that, shouldn't we? And there's just no visibility of it. We just don't have those conversations, do we?
I think you really should. We had a lady the other day come to us. She was like, "I'm really struggling. My income's going down, cost of living's going up, and I'm trying to support my daughter who's just about to start university, and I need to give a lot of money to her." And I was saying to her, like, have you actually had the chat and shown her your finances and said, look, here's what I make, here's what I spend, here's what I can afford to give you? Like, do you think that's reasonable? What's your budget? Have you even talked to your daughter about a budget for university? And she was like, no, but I'm going to now.
There was almost the inbuilt assumption that she really wanted to look after her daughter and to be able to contribute, didn't she? And it was almost like she didn't think there was any other way.
No.
And it's just being aware of it and saying, so almost questioning your own assumptions, which obviously is hard, but that's where someone else can come in. And if we never talk about it, how are you ever going to have Alan come along and go, hang on a minute, like, maybe you don't have to do that. Maybe there's another way. And if we don't talk about that, then you get stuck in your own loops of thinking and thinking that that's the only way that it's possible to do it.
What I love about that sentence is we'll have to wait until Alan can come along. So, guys, if you want Alan to come along,
send us your address.
Send us your address, and we will, we'll FedEx him and Katie, or no, we'll Uber you or something. Can we I'd
rather you didn't FedEx me, like small pieces of different addresses.
A bit more practical
Always
idea.
delivers.
We're starting to have more and more people that have been through Rebel Finance School and are attending this year. And they're starting to meet up with each other around the country. Well, yeah, exactly.
There's places you can go, isn't there? Like little meetups are happening.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brilliant, isn't it? That's brilliant. Because it's sort of normalising, sort of getting rid of the taboos. And I'm sort of thinking about I'm picturing my list of outgoings in my head, which for the first time in my life, I could probably name the number for each of the items now off the top of my head.
I love that. So if we
Yeah.
cross-examined you, you
Yeah.
wouldn't fall to pieces.
No, I wouldn't. Bring it
He
on.
looks like he's
He
ready.
actually looks confident.
Yeah.
That's normally the test. That's normally as far as they go. 'Cause you can tell instantly.
Oh, I
You
wanna-
say, if I cross-examine you and they go, ooh, and they like fall apart,
Yeah, which often happens.
you just
Yeah.
know.
I've been in the chair, by the way, when you've gone. You've given me a set of eyebrows that have got
That
their own
says-
sort of postcode. There's a sort of zip code 1 for the left eyebrow, postcode 2 for the right eyebrow. These things happen, and I go, I'll come back to you.
But that's
when will
what
you come
happens
back
with
to me?
everyone's business
Yeah.
finances as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
As you lean in and you go, so how much did you spend last month? How much did you save last month for your business? And people are like, saving for a business? Saving for a business is critical.
And you mean saving like within the business,
Yeah,
right? You don't have to
within the
save to have a
business.
business.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason we survived COVID with Rebel School is because we had a huge emergency fund inside the business. We were a cash saving business. And I was like, I always want cash in the business because things go wrong.
Yeah.
The winter is coming if you want to be Game
We
of
never
Thrones.
bought the Mercedes,
No,
did we?
we
The
still
matching
haven't.
Mercedes with Rev 1, Rev 2 on.
Imagine the alloys.
Yeah.
I think it would be R3B3L.
You've thought about this.
Oh, you have thought about it a little bit too long. I was just joking. I wasn't joking. Headline news. Financial independent person has number plate made. Anyway.
It's a great headline.
It's a crap headline, isn't it? So thoughts are, there's something about the... so money... Okay, it's 2 bits that are going through my head. Number one is money is not a straightforward subject. And I think one of the things that I'm so proud of what you guys have created, and especially because you don't rinse the same course every time, you're constantly evolving it and thinking it through. And honestly, the hours that these guys put in behind the scenes to deliver the best possible content and empowerment and so on is just phenomenal. What's your process? What's the strategy of simplifying? Because that's what you're doing, really, isn't it? You're taking very complex things and simplifying it. What's going through your heads whilst you're creating the stuff? What is it that you really want people to get from the finance school?
We want people to be able to think for themselves about money and to teach them how to evaluate different options of something like your internet or your phone is up for renewal and you think, okay, what are the options? Can I buy the phone outright? Could I pay for it monthly? Within those different options, what are the minutes? I was going to say text, that's probably really old and you get unlimited text, but like the minutes, the texts and the data for the different options. That's just an example of how you think clearly, of put it in a table and to be able to analyze it. And that's the same thing for all sorts of different things, is that clarity of thinking.
People get that all the time. So imagine you got a 10k bonus from work. Do you A, blow it on a number plate? B, buy food? C,
Vegas.
holiday home? Yeah, do you do it Vegas? Do you lump sum invest? Do you dollar cost average? Do you buy an index fund? Do you put it in your pension or your ISA?
There's lots of confusing words in there.
I know.
Yeah.
Finance has its own language. It's like learning another language. There's all these
That's what
different
used to
words
put me
and
off.
terms.
Yeah.
That's what used to put me off in the early days.
Well,
I remember my brother taking over his pension when he was in his, late 20s. So I'm going to run my own pension now. You're going to do what? And all these terms even the term investment, what does investment actually mean? Because there's so many different ways to invest.
And scam investments and all sorts of stuff going on. It's like, how do I even know where to start?
And I worked in the corporate world in finance for a number of years. And so, I'm educated around this
Poacher
stuff.
turned gamekeeper. We've got someone on the inside. This is even better.
And I have to sit down and go through it line by line, to sometimes multiple times, to understand some of the documents that come with, around finances and money. And I think, well, what chance does someone that doesn't have that level of education that I've had have when it comes to this stuff? And that's what we want to do, to empower people to take a deep breath, go through it and think, okay, what do I do if I don't understand this term? Can I look it up online? Can I ask someone about it? And the first few weeks that we have of the course is about uncovering where you currently are. So week 1 is where does your money go?
Uncovering your spending.
Week 2 is how much do you have?
Uncovering your net worth, your assets.
And then week 3 is what do you believe about money? So uncovering
Thinking.
things like you might not even realize what you think and feel and believe about money until you do the exercise and understand how that is impacting your results in the world when it comes to money and finances. And we get people to write a letter to money and say, "Dear money, you've never quite been there when I've needed you." So uncovering where we currently are and then working out where we want to get to and then how to get there.
This is just brilliant, isn't it? Right. So
We think so.
it's a tough subject. It's a tricky subject. You're taking very complex themes, breaking them down into steps, a step-by-step process, but also in themselves breaking them into steps so that people can understand like where they're at, where they're really at, and what their beliefs are around it that are going to prevent them from getting where they might want to get to, and so on. Right. So here's the thing, though. Money is such a what's the word? It's a
Controversial.
Basket case.
what's the words I'm looking for? There are so many scams out there,
Yeah.
aren't there? Like because
Minefield.
yeah, because organisations, institutions that you have been brought, we've all been brought up to trust.
Well, they make money from you.
They make money from us, right? So,
And not-
so a financial advisor, for example, nothing against financial advisors.
I have a lot against financial advisors.
Advisors win, don't they, for every product that they sell you, whether or not the product is necessarily the one that's the best one for you.
Haven't they changed it now? That
They
it's
changed it a
fee-based?
little bit. You pay for the advice.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure always about financial advisors' advice.
I think the thing to realise here is that companies are not doing things to be nice. So, you know, the 0%, 0% balance transfer on credit cards. Credit card companies are not doing that to be nice to you, to say, "Oh, come over here and I won't charge you any
It's
interest
like,
for the
Simon's
first."
struggling. Let's look after him and give him 0%. We'll be nice to him. No.
No, don't be
What?
nice to Simon.
Please be nice to Simon.
They're not being nice to Simon
What?
because they give you 0% interest because they know you will forget to pay it back on time.
Oh yeah,
They
I've done that.
know.
I got hooked
They
in
know
with a couple
that-
of those over the years. You know.
So the balance
have
that you
credit
move over will be 0%, but anything you spend in addition on that card will be at the normal rate. And we've
or
seen
at
that
30+%.
We've seen that time and again, that people have two different balances on their cards, one at the 0% and one on additional spending that they've put on that card because they have that credit limit. The company is not doing that to be nice. They know that they're going to make money out of you one way or another.
That happened to me 11, 12 years ago with a well-known company that I won't mention on here.
No,
but,
feel free.
Oh, it sounds like Markley card. So
Okay.
you know, similar to that.
Yeah, the letter after A.
Yeah, that was like, and shifting goalposts once you transferred. Oh, actually, no, we're changing the deal now. Like, wait, I'm only here because of that deal. I know we're changing the deal. So all of those things that can happen. The point I'm trying to make here is nobody is paying you. You don't get any financial remuneration other than like more people that watch your content. Then maybe in the future you'll get paid. But
We're doing it for free. We want to help people.
And that's the important bit, isn't it? Because I can come on the course, anyone can come on the course and go, oh, they're not going to flog me a pension, or they're not going to, it's really about putting the knowledge and understanding and the tools and upping the skill level so that people can make the best decisions for themselves. It's about empowering people, isn't it?
Yeah. This is, that's our gift to people. That's what we want to do.
Why?
Why
are you giving
this
a
is
gift?
suspicious.
It's like
Well,
why?
I guess selfishly, I need a purpose in retirement. I don't have to work for money if I don't want to. I want something to do with my days that gives me joy and purpose and gets to meet cool people and have that feeling of contribution
It's
and
a really
helping.
good answer. I'm slightly disappointed. I loved your answer.
And I
really felt your heart, like saying that. Like you're doing it for your own sense of purpose. That's your selfish win. But actually, giving something away and helping as many people as you can,
Yeah.
you're getting a buzz from that whilst
Yeah, it's a
helping people.
massive buzz to have people come along when we're running the course once a year, as we do. It runs on a Monday night. The Monday night, the Monday in the day, we're kind of leading up to it, putting the last finishing touches to what we're going to present to people. We'll do the course. There's obviously the buzz that you get from presenting to a room full of people and thousands online. And then afterwards, almost straight away, Alan and I will debrief and be like, oh, we could really have explained that bit a little bit better. Let's make sure we tell them that next week. We didn't quite get what we wanted to get across. Let's see what we can improve for next week.
Add it to the slides for next year, change this, change that.
And then wake up on Tuesday morning like, right, what do we need to do
notes.
for next time? How could we create more tools or resources, or how can we help people more? And that gives us such drive and purpose and excitement, and yeah, it gets us out of bed in the morning.
What else? Is there a different why for you? Is there an overlapping why? Is there, if we were to Venn diagram the Donegans and go, that's Katie's answer, is yours the same? Is it similar? Is it like...
It's very similar. I think part of my origin story of the dad debt stuff, I don't want anyone else to experience this stuff. And every time we do the debt week, the people who come forward and say, I'm in debt, I need help, my heart just goes out. Sometimes they've made bad decisions. Sometimes they're in bad situations. Sometimes it's a combination of all of them. And like, I just want to save them. And if I could reach them before they got into debt, that would be ideal.
And we're always really grateful to the people that come forward and ask for help, because it helps us to understand the subject even more and helps us to help other people that are in a similar situation to them as well. So that always enriches it every single time, every year that we do the course. We hear more stories and understand how to help better.
No one teaches you this stuff. No one... Like, they don't teach you at school, they don't teach you at college. No one teaches you this stuff. Maybe your parents give you a few beliefs about money. Maybe you're lucky enough that your parents didn't mess you up about money. That's like the best we can hope for at times. Maybe they told you don't get credit card debt. That's a win. But no one teaches you this stuff. So we wanted to put together what we felt was the best financial education and give it away for free. That's the mission. Help as many people as possible get on top of their finances and then make it simple and accessible to everyone.
I love it. So as it currently stands, I do love it. It's amazing. As it currently stands, we've got, there's a course running at the moment. There's probably one course a year that's happening that's been growing over the last 3 years or so. If someone is listening to this podcast now, maybe they've been to a Rebel Business School or they found the Rebel Entrepreneur podcast and they've been listening to the business stuff. I guess like I've got a message for them, but I wanted to ask you a question too about where do they start? If there's a finance course happening at the moment, where can they start and so on? I'm going to come on to that in a second. I just want to go back to the business stuff for a second, because over the years, my strategy when I run out of money has always been to go and sell more. I'll go and sell a bit more.
I love that.
Right.
That's better than going into debt.
Yeah, and I sort of have been topping it up. I wasn't always like that. I was like everybody else in the world of getting into debt, not really understanding how the system worked, and you know, like, oh, I need a car, or I'll get the car on the credit card because that solves the problem this month. And you know, I've done all the mistakes that lots of people make over the years. Cleared my credit card debt, you know, something like 8-9 years ago with your help. I think like the point I want to make is working harder and harder and harder to top up the pot at a time when the money doesn't go as far. Like, there's a message about plugging the holes, which was a revelation to me. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I could just stop the leaks, couldn't I? So for those people that are listening to this, you probably found this episode because, you know, you're interested in entrepreneurship or launching or trying to launch or have already started and growing your business. The finance school is the missing link for me. That's the point I wanted to make. It's like okay, so you're out there making your moves, but imagine if you didn't actually have to work quite so hard and you had more freedom and flexibility to choose exactly the life that you want, to go wherever you want and to create whatever it is that you want for you and your family. That's what I can see people creating for the finance school. I love you for that.
Most people earn money so that they can spend money. We always earned money so that we could invest money. So then that investment creates more money for us. But most people, most entrepreneurs, they're like, I had a really good month. I made 10K extra this quarter. Awesome. We'll upgrade the car. We'll buy this. I'll do more Facebook ads. We'll spend more money, and it all disappears. Or we'll pay back debt. Like, money just flows out of people's lives. So what I'd say to people is earn to invest. Don't just earn to spend. Because if you invest, that will create an income for life. And then you can live for life. Like, that will generate the money that you can spend. And it's just unbelievable where you can get to if you do this. But so many entrepreneurs, they earn the money and then they're like, okay, I deserve this. We hate that sentence. I deserve this. I deserve this. I'll go for a spa day and spend 250 quid. Do you deserve the spa day or do you deserve freedom? Which one do you really want? Or do you want to be trapped forever having to work for the next £250?
Well, it's a really nice spa near me as well. I was suddenly feeling a bit icky about it.
Like, what would you prefer? You can go to the spa or you can have freedom. What's your choice, Simon?
I choose freedom.
It's a Braveheart reference, everyone.
Wait, there was a thing that just came to me then and it's gone. Okay, so someone that's listening to this for the first time and they go, wait a minute, there's a finance school and it's free and there's no upsell, there's no weirdness, there's no encouragement to join a scheme that's selling supplements or, there's none of that stuff. There's no upsells, there's no cross sells, there's no downsells, there's no any sells. There's just people there that are learning about money and taking control of their personal finances and applying those lessons from their personal life for those that have businesses to their business too. There's only good that can come from it if you invest your time, right? So listening to this for the first time, where should people go next? How do they start this journey? And what if they're thinking, I'm already massively screwed here, what's the point anyway? Like, those are two questions there. Where do we go from there?
So the key place to start is it all comes back to the size of your gap, Simon.
So thanks for joining the Rebel Entrepreneur podcast. And things got a little bit weird at 36 minutes.
It's all about the size between what you earn and what you spend. And that's what we call the gap.
Which is the same for your business, the same for your personal life.
And that's always where to start. Some people don't know how much they're earning a month. That's the first step. And how much are you spending a month? And obviously the earning side, if you're self-employed, is going to be lumpy. There'll be times when you're earning a lot, times when you're earning not as much.
Tell me about
it. But what we want is the way to become wealthy is to have a consistent gap between what you earn and what you spend. And the first step to doing that is to know what you're earning and what you're spending. And it all flows from there. So you use that gap to get an emergency fund so that when things happen, you're not scrabbling for money and going into debt. You use that gap to pay off any expensive debt. You use that gap to eventually invest in assets. It all comes back to having that gap. That is the key. So the first step for anyone that's listening is go back to the last month and look through your credit card, bank statements. How much did you spend last month and where did it go? That is the first step.
I love it.
I think I would build on that and speaking to everyone who's listening. Can you tell me if you made a profit in your personal life last month? Can you tell me if you made a profit in your business last month? Do you have a little chart that shows you how much profit you made in each of those areas each month for the last year? That's what I need to know. If you can't tell me that, you have your homework. That's the starting point. And it's the basis of all finances. We've met £1 million businesses that cannot tell you if they're making a profit month by month.
So the £1 million referring to how much they're earning, right? They don't know what they're spending.
They'll tell you their turnover.
Readily.
Yeah. Turnover is for vanity. Profit is for sanity. Who cares how much you turn over? The question is, are you actually bringing home any money or are you spending it all? There's so many flashy businesses that spend all the money and don't have any profit.
Or they're making a loss without realising it,
For
on each
years.
sale.
That's what happened to my mum with her pub. She had a small pub. She was actually generating a profit. She was doing okay. My dad wanted to expand the pub. He wanted to extend it, build a bigger restaurant. He got a huge loan from the brewery. He extended it. They went from 30 covers to 120 covers. It massively grew the business. Their turnover went from, I can't remember what it was, this is years ago, but $3,000 to $7,000 a week. Like the turnover went up massively, but they were making a loss every single week. And they did for about 2 years without really knowing how much of a loss they were making. They were more in debt after 2 years of hard work than they were when they started those 2 years of hard work. Like that extension destroyed that business. And the only way to get out was for my mum to go bankrupt. And like people don't know their figures. They just don't know the maths. And I'm kind of shocked. I'm like, you need to know, are you making money?
And I think it's okay if that is negative. So if you're spending more than you earn, but the first point is to know if you are or not. And a lot of people come to us a little bit disheartened and say, I don't have a gap, or my gap's negative, I'm spending more than I earn. But
At least you know.
at least you know, and at least then you can start to do something about it. And the very act of looking at what you're spending, you can't help but change things, because you'll look at it and go, oh, I didn't even realize I had that gym subscription. I don't even go anymore. Why do I still have that? And then you can start to make changes, but that only comes when you look at it.
I want to answer the second part of Simon's question.
Yes.
It's like the people who come to you and go, the people that come to you and go, like, it's too late for me. I'm in such a pickle, it's not worth it. And my new tactic is to stare at them and go, well, give up then. Like, is that what you want? Do you want permission from me to give up on life? Is that what you're looking for? Or should we do something about this? And they normally sit there thinking for a minute, like, I don't want to give up. Can I do something? But it's almost like they come to me to try and persuade me it's too late for them. And they're looking for permission to quit.
It's like you get a payoff, don't you? It's like, well, if I can let myself off the hook of trying to do it, I can just accept.
I don't have to try.
Yeah.
I can just spend everything and go deeper into
I understand
debt.
that. I mean, I've probably been in that position a few times. Gone like, is that even when you get dejected and so on. So
the answer is it's never too late. Underline that. I'm not actually saying quit.
No.
It's never too late. No. I don't care if you're 90 and in a mess. We can do things to improve your finances.
Yes. So that was like an invisible Sharpie that you just went across the screen.
Yes.
You went,
cross.
Like, yes. It's never too late. I love that. So my thoughts are this. Someone's listening to this to go, okay, all right, I quite like the idea of this now. I understand that. I love your tip about creating a gap. I don't even know what I'm spending. And, maybe I did make a profit, but I just wouldn't know. So that's the first step. But I really want to get out of debt. I really want to achieve things in my life. I want to teach my kids to not to make the same mistakes that I made and so on. How do they engage with you? What's the sensible place for them to begin? Which website do they go to? Do they go to YouTube? Do they send you a Snapchat message? Do they FedEx you a package of flowers to say, please help me with my finances? How do I engage with
Lego
Donegans?
would be more impressive.
Okay.
Please don't send me flowers.
Oh, that sounds like a song. Anyway, please continue. Where do we go?
rebelfinanceschool.com or the alandonegan.com website, which is Katie and I's website. Just Google Rebel Finance School and you will
That'll
find
take you
us.
where it needs to go.
Yeah. We have the YouTube channel, which we put all the videos on. If you've missed the course, it's still probably on YouTube. Go watch it right now. Go to the first one, week 1, Rebel Finance School 2023. How big is your gap? Just start taking control of your finances. It is never too late to start. And we've already given you the basics on this podcast. The basics. What are you spending? How much are you earning? What's the gap? If you know those 3 numbers, you're better off than most people out there. Then we need to learn what to do with your gap, how to invest it so that it produces a return for you. That's the key bit, but you can't teach that in 90 minutes. You need a bit more time to work out investing. But that's where to go. That's where to start.
I love it. Thank you. So, folks, before I hand back to Alan to close this episode of the Rebel Entrepreneur Podcast, my final thoughts are this. Not all superheroes wear capes. We have access to superheroes right here. They don't charge us any money. They put hours and hours and hours and hours of their time in for free. And there are several thousand people that have benefited from this already. So roll your sleeves up, get your head out of the sand and get involved in the Rebel Finance School, folks.
Yeah, send them this podcast episode. Send your friends this podcast episode and say start there. Katie, what do you want to say to people?
It's just about the gap. That's all I can think of right now. The gap. Sort it out.
That's it.
I thought
Sort
you
it
were going
out.
to wrap up.
I am going to wrap up.
I didn't have a rousing close, so I leave that to you, Alan.
An arousing close or a rousing close?
A space rousing close.
Got it. Alan, save me.
Money is the only game we all have to play. Like if you go to school, like you've probably heard, there's a few kids outside playing football in the playground outside. If you go to school, you can choose whether you want to play football or you want to go and play chess or you want to go this. And they teach you the rules. Money is the only game you get no choice. You don't have a choice. You're just handed a celebrity checkbook and pen. You're just handed a bank account. You're handed money. And you go, there you go, play the game of money. Not only that, you have to go out there and play the game of money, not knowing the rules. And you have to play against the greatest players of all time that are alive now, crushing it, making money, doing things. Like, go play the game, kiddo. Good luck. Well, that's the worst start you could give a human being ever. We don't even know the rules.
When you say against the players that know all the rules, I think here we're talking about like the financial institutions that want to put you into debt. It's not like if for me to get wealthy, someone else can't be wealthy. And it's not like if those people are wealthy, I can't be wealthy as well.
No, it's not a zero-sum game, wealth, i.e. only one person wins. We can all win, but you are out there playing the game against sharks, against people who will take advantage of you if you're not switched on. Like, you're literally thrown in the deep end of the money game and said, go on, swim, off you go. And then some of us drown financially and end up in debt and end up going bankrupt, and some of us float. And quite a few people just bob along that zero line, gasping for air. And then eventually they go, okay, I've got to retirement and have a state pension and that's it. And some people thrive. They learn as they go, or they've got someone shouting from the side going, go on, put your arms through. Like, it's the only game we all have to play. Learn the rules of the game. Learn how to play the money game. It's one of the biggest investments you can make in yourself is learning the money game, setting yourself up so that you're financially secure. It will change your world. So if there's one thing I want people to take from this podcast, it would be to stop listening now and start reading, learning, and studying finances and money. Goodbye.